All right. Hello, everybody. A very, very warm welcome to all of you to this webinar where we're going to talk about how Riya, uh, traveled from 6:15 to 7:15 in just 2 weeks, just 15 days. So let me congratulate you, Riya. Big, big congratulations for that score. It's a dream score for everybody. Getting a verbal 86, quant 85, I believe, and DI also 85, right? And this was just 15 days. I mean, you just put that mandatory gap between the two exams, and you took it, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
it was a yeah,
I'll just quickly show my viewers here. Just let me just quickly show them. So yeah, okay. I think now everybody can see this here. So we'll just quickly talk about, Riya, that you started from here, right? This was before you
yeah,
came to GMAT Viz, I believe, right? You were at a 550. This was when the classic version was still in
yes,
vogue. And so I wanted, and then from this, you went to this. So, all of our viewers, I want everybody to also understand this, that we're going to talk about this journey. There are two phases to this journey. One phase is, of course, before Riya came to us with that 550 score behind her. And then from there to the 615, and then from there 615 to the 715. So there are these two stages to
yeah,
this. All right. So, Riya, if you can just quickly update us on when did you start preparing for GMAT, like really seriously?
yeah.
When was this?
So it was last year May. So I gave my first attempt in September, I think, of last year, 2023, and that's when I scored a 550. So it was a horrible score. I mean, the preparation that went and the mocks how they were going.
Okay.
Compared to that, the score was not actually believable. But yeah,
All
it
right.
was not up to the mark. The verbal as I was doing, I really felt that I'm going on the right track. But when actually I
Uh-huh.
saw the score, it was not at all up to the mark, and it was devastating.
So
So
what did
yeah,
you? And this was the point when you decided that you're going to, I mean, I think at this point you were already using some other sources, right? Some other
yeah,
courses,
yes.
right?
So I was using
So,
EGMAT
hmm, okay,
at that time, and
okay,
that's what I felt, that in the verbal we were not going in depth with the concepts were definitely
okay,
there, and like right now what we do the pre-thinking, right? So the same thing
right.
was there as well, but in GMAT was the way it was taught, that the process of pre-thinking, how we do it and stuff, the detailed way, that really helped me. So even in my 550 attempt, I tried pre-thinking the answers for critical reasoning, or even for RC you can pre-think, right? But that was not in the structured way. So yeah,
Okay, got it, got it, got it. All right, all right. So this itself, when I'm looking at your scorecard, even I am marveling, right? So tell me one thing, that when you took that 615,
huh.
just you
Those
were
were the
already
days.
prepped up and you were
Yeah.
taking the mocks before that, right?
Yes.
I mean, according to you, must have been doing all things right before you took that actual exam, right? So what happened on the exam day, the 615? I mean,
Uh,
before the exam, you felt you were prepared, right?
yeah. Before the
Definitely.
exam, I felt I was prepared. So I did not feel I was prepared for a 715. That's for sure. I really felt I
Okay.
was prepared for like a 675, 685 at least. Like at least, or I would say the maths. But the real thing that actually happened in the exam, there were two things. One was I rushed through in Quant, and that towards the end, I panicked and I couldn't solve the questions even though I knew it well. It was not difficult. So I froze there. And second was my RC that really brought me down in verbal. So these were the two things that I felt I need to work on between that 650 to 715.
So
And
for those of you listening in on, let me just update you. When Ria scored a 615, she got I think verbal was 80.
5%. Yeah, verbal. Yeah, but RC was like a 5 percentile.
Right.
Correct.
Well, no,
Verbal
verbal
was
was 81. Verbal was
80.
81,
Yeah.
80.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
quant was 81 and DI was 81, right? And then
Yeah.
from there you jump to 86, 85, 85.
Yeah.
Right, got it, got it. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. what you did in those 15 days. But let's also talk about what you did to improve from that 550 to 615. Like, let's take it one area at a time. So if we talk about
So,
CR, what are the things that you felt you did which you were not doing earlier?
so the first thing that I did from 5:50 to 6:15, gather the courage to forget everything that I had learned. Because when I came to GMAT was and I started learning with you, I came with the mindset that, ma'am, I know this. I gave my attempt like 8 months back because I took a big gap in between. I started preparing again in May this year because I was not having that courage to do it again. And then when I came to you, you told me, I was like, I know all the concept. You just have to help me score a good score. But then
Yeah,
when I
I
started,
remember there was this inner rush in you that,
yeah,
okay, just tell me what I need to,
just
just give me the
yeah,
gimmicks and I want to
yeah,
be done with it.
yeah, because I have studied, I've given the exam, and I did something wrong. You help me with that. But then you told me, I think in the first class itself, that you have to forget everything that you have learned because the basics are not that strong. And
Right.
when I started working with you, you helped me break every process in parts and pieces. Like even how I was reading was also kind of faulted because I was reading very fast. I was not focusing on the words between the connectors, and I was not connecting the dots like in RC. I was just reading as if I'm reading a book. But then you really taught me that how we
How
have to.
important is this part, Ria, for our
It's
listeners
very
here?
important.
How
Very
important
important.
is this reading part? When we talk about verbal, a lot of
Yeah.
people definitely focus on, okay, these are the concepts involved in CR, and these are the things we need to do in RC. These are the kind of questions. But mostly, and even in my experience during my private tutoring, also, I've seen that people don't really give the reading itself that much of importance. So
Yeah.
how important do you think, like, that the difference that it made between
The difference
a
that it
verbal
made
80
was,
and a verbal 86?
yeah, difference that it made was firstly in RC I scored a five percentile in my 615 attempt. Like 5 percentile is nothing. And from there to 715, mein, I had a 99 percentile in RC. And this is the difference. This is the difference it makes because I was not focusing on reading the passage well. I was rushing through it and I was just reading it at a glance, not connecting the dots. And then those 15 days that I worked with you again, I took just one
Hmm.
class with you and you just told me
Yes.
that you have to read it slow. The way you are reading is completely faulty. Like
At that
you,
time also, I was thinking that, well, she's been doing fine, but how do you get that inner anxiety out,
yeah,
that the time, the anxiousness about time, which is basically
yeah,
what makes people rush and not believe in the process. So
correct.
if you could
Yeah,
just tell students what you did to overcome that anxiety, and then finally how that settled in, that thing that, okay, I'm going to read like this is what I'm
yeah.
going to do.
So first, there were three things. First thing was I did the class with you. You told me that how we have to break and connect each and every sentence, and how important that is. So the second thing, after understanding the importance of that, I did was I stopped using the timer. So generally, the timer is the what gives us anxiety, right? So I would not switch on the timer, or even if I do, I would do it as if I would not know how much time is going. I would just read the passage very nicely, put each and every process in place what you told me, like connect each and every sentence, understand the transition that is happening between one paragraph to another paragraph, make a summary of the whole passage, and then go to answering the questions. So when you told me this whole process, even I used to think that how is it possible to solve a passage which has like four questions or three questions in 6 to 8 minutes because you have to do so much of thoughts. But then when it in the beginning it was taking me 15 minutes as well to solve a passage with four questions. But with time, within 1 week, I developed that habit, and then things happened like this that I would take like 4 minutes to read the passage, understand the whole thing, and then 30 seconds each to answer the questions. So
Hmm.
like even if there's a four question passage, I would answer that in 6 minutes and not 8 minutes. So what started with a 15-minute thing came down to 6 minute thing along with the process. So to understand the process and then not to look at the timer because it makes you anxious, just apply that process, and with a bit practice you would just do it within time.
So what you're saying is, when you got that 615, you knew the approach, all right?
Yeah.
Yet the anxiety related to the time was stopping you from really going in all with that approach, right?
Yes,
So
that
by that
was.
615 score, you had built your, let's say, foundations, you would say.
Yeah, foundation. So in terms of CR, my foundation was good because I understood how to pre-think the whole concept, how to build a scope of every argument and then go ahead with it. Like, I'm just talking about verbal right now, we'll come to quant.
Right.
But for
Right.
verbal CR, I had built that, and even my CR went good in the exam. But RC went really bad. So RC, what I realized was, when I really thought about what happened in the exam, first was my quant did not go that well. So I knew towards the end that I messed up in quant. So that
Okay.
anxiousness carried in verbal as well. So
Okay.
when passages were coming, I was getting anxious that, now the time will go here and I won't be able to
Okay.
answer the thing how things happen in quant. So that anxiety was triggered some of the fault that I did during reading the passage and all. And secondly, I think I was rushing too much through the passages. So I remember the first passage that came on the screen. I read the whole passage, and then when the question was there, I couldn't understand what the question was asking. So then I again went back to the passage and I reread the passage, I think two times, but still
Oh
that
my
question
God.
was wrongly answered later when I
Oh my
checked the
God.
ESR.
So
So
this fog kind of thing happened, like because of your
yeah, it
anxiety.
happened. It happened. And then
Okay.
I used to rush in things. Like even in quant, I was rushing. So in verbal, naturally that came. And the same thing happened in the 715 attempt as well, if I would tell you. But
Okay.
what really helped me was, at that time as well, I was thinking, you're going wrong. All the questions are coming so difficult. You're answering wrong. And then I stopped there for 30 seconds and I just closed my eyes and I told myself that
So you took that
whatever
strategic pause.
doesn't matter. Yeah, that strategy really worked, and it did not work suddenly out of blue moon. Those 15 days between 6:15 to 7:15, I practiced meditation every day for like 30 minutes, just to calm myself down, because I knew this is what triggered me in the exam, and I couldn't give my 100%. So I stopped in between, even my 7:15 attempt,
Hmm.
to pause and tell myself it's okay, whatever is going, it's fine. You just focus on what's there on the screen, and that helped me score a 85 in quant.
Wow.
In verbal, sorry, verbal.
Wow. Verbal.
Yeah, yeah,
Verbal was at 6 years. So so what I also want the others to understand is, okay, it is possible to improve your score like drastically in 15 days, 20 days, but then the groundwork also has to happen before that, right?
yeah. A lot of
All right.
groundwork happened before that, actually. um, in terms of quant as well, I practiced a lot of questions from the OG part. I understood the process, how to solve, how to first understand the whole question and then dive into solving. My biggest issue when I started preparing again for GMAT was, I realized I was not reading the question properly and I used to just jump into solving that question, and that was sabotaging my score in quant. So when I again started preparing the GMAT was, I took a course with Piyush, and he helped me understand how we have to pause, understand the question, and then attempt it. And he also helped me understand, for complex questions, the simple processes to follow so that you could do it in time. And yeah, I practiced a lot of OG questions in quant, and I maintained an error log. I did not maintain an error log when I did had my 550 score, because I didn't
Okay.
know the importance of that. So this time I maintained an error log, and I had all the questions of OG from GMAT
Mm-hmm.
Club copied in an Excel, and I would solve that. It was filtered as per hard, medium, easy, topic wise,
Okay.
everything. And whatever questions went wrong, like I would solve 100 questions in like 10 days or whatever time it takes. Then I would first go through all the questions that went wrong and resolve it, and then only move to another set of 100 questions. So
Mm-hmm.
I realized the
Okay.
importance of not solving too many questions, but solving it the right way, and also understanding where you're going wrong. Because GMAT my
Hmm. Hmm.
questions kind of would be around what you would
The
practice in OG.
pattern is,
Pattern is the same. Yeah. So understanding your mistake. If you have got a question wrong, just ignoring it and moving ahead is not the right way. You have to re-practice it.
I think that's something very important message for viewers who believe that if you simply practice questions, you're going to improve.
No, it will
So
never
it's
happen.
not just that
Yeah.
practicing questions just to improve. You have to know every question has to be a stepping stone towards improvement, however small that might be, right? Like you need
Yes.
to understand what you're doing wrong, even if you got the question right,
Yeah. And even
and
solving
then
easy questions, like easy questions as well, would help you develop that kind of base knowledge to solve the hard questions well. So I used to skip easy questions all the time. I say it's just easy. Why would I solve it? I want to solve hard questions, but no. Even GMAT ka pattern goes like that, right? You have to solve easy questions in the beginning, then hard
Yes,
questions come
yes.
up. So please solve easy and medium questions as well. It's
So we've
important.
got hi Vijay Vijay. So Vijay Vijay has got a question for you, Riya. How did you manage time in verbal? Was there not any time constraint or kind of time trap while answering? Yes.
Time
Can you see
constraint
the
in the
question?
exam. No, I cannot see the question actually.
Okay. So Vijay is asking, how did you manage time in verbal? All right. And
So
then follow up is, was there not any time constraint or kind of time trap while answering? Like, I think what he
I
means to
actually
ask
was
is,
left with 2 minutes in the end in verbal, and
so can you
I
just expand on that? Like while
yeah,
solving, how is it that the timing thing you
I'll
did
tell you.
not focus on that and yet you managed the time?
Yeah. So my 6:15 attempt, I could not solve four questions in the end. Like the last, I think three questions will be a pass. No, last three question will be a passage, and the last, second last, and the last question will be CR. I think. So I couldn't solve the last passage. I couldn't solve the last CR questions when I did my 6:15 attempt. So five questions I missed because I ran out of time. As I told you in the beginning, I was reading a passage very fast, and I reread a passage. So I took a lot of time. I took 10 minutes in one passage during the exam in my 6:15 attempt. What changed between 6:15 to 7:15 was the process that I followed. I understood that the time is a constraint if you don't follow the process. So I understood the process from Sunita ma'am, and I stopped looking at the time. I consciously told myself that you have to first see what the process is because you have to do it right. And I think 7 days I practiced without any timer. That process was inbuilt in my mind, and once you do that, when you practice more questions, like a month more, if you practice more questions, you will automatically solve it the right way, and it will happen within the time. So the way to do that is, first, do not look at the timer and build your whole process and your mindset around the passage. Once you have that practice, you have solved a lot of easy questions, medium and hard passages around the whole process thing, and you have to implement it in every passage. If anywhere you feel that you have missed one step of the process, in the next passage, just make it consciously that you have to follow each and every step, and
I think
then
that
the timing
faith
will
in the process. I think
anyways,
what
yeah,
you're saying is the faith in the process. You know, a lot of us, a lot of my
you
students, they
need to
give
have
up
a faith.
that faith. Ki,
Yeah,
if I take so much time to read the passage, I'm digging a grave for myself. How
yeah.
will I manage the
And
time?
you need to spend more time reading the passage, and the questions, if you read it properly, your questions will be solved within 30 seconds. It will not take a lot of time because you have done that in-depth analysis of the passage, and I'm telling you it will happen because I was someone who spent 10 minutes in the exam on a passage which had four questions and got all the four questions wrong. So I realized that whatever I was doing was wrong, and I had to learn the process and follow and stick to it no matter what. So just stick to the process, timing will follow.
So there you have Vijay. You'll have to be patient. So I've got Priyansha asking a couple of questions here. She's saying, "Hey, are you from DTU BTech background? Can you tell me about your background as it is easier for BTech students to understand math? I have difficulty in math, though I am from engineering background."
I am a commerce student, and I would tell you, started preparing in 23. 22 mein I had to start preparing. 1 year, I kept a post. I had a poster next to my bed telling me, "Your biggest fear is what you need to overcome to achieve what you want in life." And my biggest fear was maths. I always told myself, "I'm so bad in maths. How will I do it?" After 10th, I did not study maths. So that's how bad I was. And
So
I'm
I think
telling you,
just to convince, just to kind of assure Priyansha that all is not lost. Can you just
no,
tell
not.
that how, like that math part? So up to the 6:15 stage, what you did for your math, and then from 6:15 to 7:15, what you did for your maths.
So up to my 6:15, firstly, again the process matters here. The first thing is read the question very slowly and understand what they're asking. Do not rush, even if it's an easy question, because during the exam you would not know if that's easy or hard. So patiently read the question, understand what the process is for 10 seconds, and then start solving the question. And I mean, I took GMAT Whisker whole course, so I understood the processes of solving different algebra or arithmetic questions from there. So, yeah, you need to take a course to understand the whole thing, but it is not dependent on your background at all. These are very uh, these are basic questions that you need to practice more to understand. But practice more doesn't mean that you're practicing 1,000 questions. It will not at all help. I have done that. I did that in my 550 attempt, and I understood that this was a mistake, because if you solve too many questions without understanding where you are going wrong, you will feel lost, and then suddenly in the exam you'll feel lost. So for me, it used to happen that sometimes hard questions I'm solving all correct, sometimes even easy questions I was not able to solve. This was happening in the 550 attempt. So later when I analyzed, I realized that what where I was going wrong, I was not trying to understand that. I was just trying to solve as many questions as I could, and that did not help. So in my 615 attempt, I was solving questions very mindfully, and if I'm going wrong somewhere, I would solve those questions twice, not once. Again, twice I would do it, and then move to another set of 100 questions. So that really helped, and the questions always are in the same pattern. It's like NCRT mein when you learn, and the questions come in the same in CBSE board around
So
that. So it is very
if you've done your practice the right way, if
yeah,
you know you will be able to recognize the patterns in the exam, and then
yes,
you would know exactly what to do with that question. That's what you're
yeah,
saying, right?
exactly,
So
yes,
there you have, Priyansh. I hope that has helped you understand that it's not the background that matters. In fact,
yeah,
we have a lot of students who have the same, who share the same fears as you, Priyansha. But you can overcome fears. And as Riya was saying, the math is basic.
the
All
math
right.
is
What you need to understand, it's nowhere near the levels of, I mean, if you're an engineering, from an engineering background, the level of mathematics that you have, yeah, you would have tackled would be very, very different. I
complex.
mean, different in the sense complex, and these are way simpler. Yes, the
Yeah,
presentation of the questions is very different, I think,
yeah, the
right? It's more
calculations are
like a
sometimes
word
missing.
problem.
Yeah,
Yes, it's more like a word problem. So as Ria was saying, you have to read the question very carefully. Right. In fact, a lot of it is reading, no? A lot of GMAT is reading. So the
yeah,
quant questions, verbal itself, of course, and then you have the
MCQ
DI.
kind of, yeah. DI though
So
has lot of reading and lot of analyzing. We'll
I'm
come
sure
to DI.
DI students have a lot of questions, Ria. So can you tell us about your, like, what you understood about DI? I mean, given that you had this anxiety about time, right? So DI
Yeah.
has, it's a
So
lengthy
DI,
system.
it's very lengthy. You'll take 3 minutes to solve every question. I mean, DS questions that is there in DI, that would really help you save time, because might be 1.5 minutes you'll be able to do it. But DI may just think that you have 15 questions. Do not think that you have 20 questions, because you won't be able to solve it. You'll need 60 minutes to solve that way, but you have 45 minutes. So think of it that you have 15 questions, because in the beginning, if you start having that anxiety that I will take too much time to solve and how will I do it, then the starting questions will go wrong, and you cannot afford that. So the first 10 questions, 12 questions, if you continuously get it right, you can still score a 99 percentile. And that's what I did. I missed 4 questions in the end in DI, and I still had a 99 percentile. So I'm telling you, I can show you. I mean, if we have it in the PPT, we can show as well. The last 4 questions I did not answer. Still, it was a 99 percentile, because in the beginning the questions went right, and DI was difficult. It took me a lot of time to read it. The first 4 questions in DI, I think I took 4 minutes each questions. 16 to 18 minutes went only in 4 questions. So here you're saying, I mean, this 27 minutes were left for the remaining 15 questions. But it is important to do that. And again, reading plays a very important role, because MSR and TPA, again, graph as well. So even sometimes for graphs, you have to understand it very well. So that concentration of understanding the whole thing and stuff really matters. So that concentration will come when you leave out the anxiety that I have to solve the whole thing. You don't have to do that. You just have to do it the right way. Again, I mean, I cannot emphasize enough how much following the right process for each and every um, section matters, be it quant or
So,
verbal.
um, so Ria, one more question. I think uh, just came to my mind. So you're a working professional, right? Full-time working professional. Can you just share yours, like how you planned out or whatever you planned out in these 15 days to,
Yeah,
let's say targeted practice, right? Or
yeah.
very, you were very minutely trying to monitor what were the shortcomings between that 615 exam and then so what did you do? Like, how would you plan out your
Days.
routine to practice all of this?
Um,
Yes.
I just prioritized GMAT a lot in those 15 days. And I didn't even take leave actually because I didn't want people to know that, again, I'm going to attempt and stuff. But
Okay.
in the morning, I would study and go to office. And then when I would come back, so in the morning, I would do verbal the first thing because I knew RC was the worst thing that happened during that 6:15 thing. So the first thing every morning I would do was practice like three RCs again without any timer. In those 15 days, 7 days without any timer, I practiced RC, and then 7 days I just practiced it in the right way. Um, when I would come back, I would do DI because DI again was lengthy during the exam, and I felt it that I was unable to solve it in time. So I tried practicing more. And quant questions, whatever in my error log was there, which I did not solve right, the wrong questions that I had solved before, I just practiced those again. I did not go through the whole error log because there was not much of time. Just the questions that I would go wrong at, I solved those because somehow there was a big correlation between the questions that I got wrong in the exam and what was going wrong during my practice.
I think we'll just take a quick look at what you've been talking about, like just to kind of sum up all of it, because I think some of the people have joined just now. I'll just quickly share my screen.
Yeah,
One moment. So yeah. So this is now Ria's journey, just to capture all the things that those of you who've just joined have missed. Uh, this is where she started off, and from this is where you came to us, right? I mean, that was where
yeah,
you were, and then the you changed, you understood your concepts, right, at this level. From this you went to this finally. So a lot of people think that okay, 6:15 to 7:15 is are the days when you did everything, which is not true, right?
not
What really happened is uh,
focused upskilling.
from 5:15 to 6:15 was mostly about
Yeah.
building your skills, right? And that
So
process was I
yeah,
mean, that process definitely was needed a lot of guidance, right?
yeah.
You needed a lot
So
of
correct.
guidance.
Yeah, you need a lot of guidance and belief as well that you could do it in 15 days. And I understood that two things went wrong. One, in quant, I got anxious and I was doing it very fast. So I started meditating in those 15 days to tell myself that things, whatever you are doing, will be right. It's not like things will go wrong because that's what my process was when I was solving the questions during the 6:15 attempt. That everything I'm solving is going wrong. Whatever I'm choosing
Vijay is
is wrong
asking
answer.
another question. Vijay is saying that would you suggest some strategy for getting most of quant questions correct? I think what he's trying to ask is how do you get most questions correct in quant? Like, can you shed some
So,
light on the quant part of it?
yeah, let's say you pick algebra as a topic, you understand the concept, then you solve algebra easy questions. I would say I was in your place, if I'm solving 100 questions from algebra, I would do 30 easy questions, 40 medium questions, and then remaining 30 hard questions. Because generally, during the GMAT, easy and medium questions are more form part of the ratio. Hard questions are like towards the end. The last five questions generally be hard ones. And if I'm taking 10 questions, I would take three or four easy questions, four medium, and then two hard. I would understand, I would solve it in one go, definitely all the 10 questions, and then understand where I followed the process correctly. And if I'm even solving the easy questions right, I would try to understand that what I learned from the course, did I follow that process even in the easy questions or not? Because I did not do this during my first attempt, and this is what sabotaged my score completely. It is not like we are not learning the process. When you're looking at the video in the course, you are understanding it, you're solving four, five questions at that time. But when you take up questions dedicated to that particular topic and then solve those questions, you will understand whether it will take a lot of practice to put that what you have learned in the video into that practice. So do that and solve easy, medium, and hard all the mix in the questions. And update the error log, understand where you're going wrong, and solve the wrong questions again to score the maximum that you can score in quant. That's what your question was. This is how you would do it.
Yeah, he has thanked you in advance also. So just continuing with just rounding up what I was doing earlier. Let me just once again share screen. One second. Yeah. So this is what you did, and then okay. Now between that 6:15 to 7:15, you were developing the test taker's mindset.
Test
All
taker
right. So
mindset.
yeah. So these are the two
And
levels at which
skipped my RC because RC went wrong. So following the RC processes.
right. So from this part to this part was the upskilling, right? Where you were developing your conceptual clarity, as you said. So focusing on, what the concept said, even though you'd already done a course before that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I
And
had done the
then,
focus, but I did not take private tutoring or I did not take a mentor, because I did not know where I'm going wrong. So when I did that, I understood what my weak areas are and I relearned all the concepts. I had to break everything that I had learned before. Otherwise, it's not easy to relearn things. You have to
right.
let go of your previous thoughts.
So concepts, processes, the
And
strategy you would use on the question, all of these things is what you did in between that 5:15
yeah,
to 6:15, right?
yeah,
And then when we talk about the 6:15 to 7:15, this is what you have been saying, right? That was when you planned your pacing strategies. And I think you
yeah.
worked a lot on the self-belief thing because still before that you were doubting, right?
Yeah, that's what I told. I mean, I had severe anxiety and self belief issues. So, someone who asked that I'm from engineering background and I'm not good in quant, I had the severe belief that I am the worst in quant. So, please don't do that. Do not tell yourself that you're not good at it. I did that. Doesn't
So
help.
personalized advice, these are the things that you need to consider for those of you preparing, right? Okay. You remember that if you're going to try to reach that upskilling stage, right? When you're upskilling yourself, your skills, you're developing your skills or honing your skills, a lot of factors have to be considered to understand how much time it's going to take you. All right. What is the time that you can devote? What is your target score? What resources have you already used? Do you already know your strengths and weaknesses or not? What methods have you been using? What is your learning style? What is your learning pace? All of these things have to be taken into account to understand how much time you need to devote to develop your skills, right? And
Yeah,
of course, most importantly, root cause analysis. Correct. I mean, so in Ria's case, pretty much a lot of things. I mean, when Ria came on board, right? Uh, each of us, Piyush and myself, the first thing that we did was the diagnostic, right? Diagnose what is happening here. And to be honest, if I recall that first class with you, Ria, I remember thinking that
how will I score good?
where is the approach? No, I mean,
Yeah,
at that point, I was like,
there's no
there
approach.
is no approach. There's just like, okay, the question comes up, she
Yes,
reads the question,
straight into
there's a flat
diving,
reading, and yeah, yeah. And
straight diving to answer. Yeah,
spend most of the time on the answer choices because
yeah,
that's where the scores are going to come, right?
yes.
And this is what most people believe. But
Yeah,
the real game is in the prompt, the stimulus, the passage. In
yes,
case of the quant question, you have to read
yeah,
the question carefully. If it's a DI question, you have to read the question carefully. If it's a graph, you have to read the graph carefully, so on and so forth. So for each of you to be able to, reach where Ria has reached. Okay, I'm going to ask Ria to give that as advice. In fact, what you should do if you want to reach where she is today. So yes, Ria, you go ahead and you tell.
first thing is self belief. Biggest thing. I worked on that for 3 months from May when I started. So again preparing for this because last year September when I scored a 550, I told myself I'm not giving this exam over again. It just broke my self confidence in pieces. Anyways, I did not have the confidence to attempt an exam where there was so much of quant, and then getting this kind of a score, it was not easy. And then again I started this year in May because of some external forces, and I started having that self belief that you can do it, and Piyush really helped me doing that, having that belief that I can do it. So that is the first thing. Second is following the process. Please follow the process. It is very important because as ma'am told, I was someone who used to dive in directly into solving the question, be it quant, be it verbal, be it RC, anything. I would do that. It will not work. And now there's DI, so that will not work even more because DI has a lot of reading for TPA, MSR, and MSR really is something very difficult. You have to read everything. um, have that dots connected and then go into solving the question. So now it's even more important to have a good reading strategy and follow the process for everything. So please do that. Otherwise, just doing it a blind eye with a blind eye, it will not help. You'll have to redo the process again. The score will not come. And then the third thing would be solving the questions in the right way, not solving a lot of questions. Even if you solve, let's say, 200 questions, the whole of quant, do it the right way and understand where you're going wrong. Even for easy questions, if you solve it right, understand what you did right, so that you could do it for every question, even hard questions. So yeah, do not go behind solving a lot of questions. Go into solving the right questions, and always solve OG questions. OG questions are the Bible, and that's what how the whole questions come in the actual GMAT as well. The structure doesn't change.
I think that is very important. That a lot of
Yeah,
people come back to me after the exam and say the exam was harder than this. And I mean,
yeah,
you know, uh, I myself, I have never felt that it was any different from the mocks that
yeah,
you take the official mocks or the OG
yeah.
questions. The patterns are same, the structures are same. It's just that that added anxiety might be making you feel that the exam is harder than the
And
OG
anxiety will
questions.
be there. If you I did meditation in those 15 days, and that helped me to stop during the exam and tell myself that if you do this wrong, things will blow up, and whatever you're doing is right. Just believe in yourself and go ahead. So that 30-second pause as well that I took was because I had done 30 minutes of meditation every day before that. I told myself that you will do it, it's not going to go wrong, everything is going to be right. That really worked.
So you've spoken about self-belief, you've spoken about the process, all right? You've spoken about the
Solving the right
practice,
question.
all right? Yeah, solving the right questions. That is there. So when we talk about just to round off everything, when you talk about process, okay, you've learned the concepts, you've learned the process, learned as in okay,
Yeah,
if you're using a resource, the resource has told you how to solve a question. How do you actually put it into your daily practice? Like when you sit down and solve the question, how do you exactly put it into practice? I mean, this is something that a lot of people lose focus on, all right,
yeah.
they've been shown the process, but uh, when the D-day comes, it just goes out of the window, everything else, right? So how
The
do you
D
make
day
sure
is,
that it becomes a habit?
yeah. D day is just a representation of what you're doing every day. So that will come when you practice every day in the right manner. So how to follow the process will be what I used to do was when ma'am told me how to solve an RC, let's say. So I made a flow chart that stop at every sentence, connect every sentence to the previous one, summarize the first paragraph, then summarize the second paragraph, connect the two paragraphs. Because for easy passages, you would not understand the importance of connecting the two paragraphs, but for hard passages, you would understand that what's the importance. Because suddenly the plot changes in paragraphs, and with one word as well, it changes. So that will only come when you practice from those easy passages along with the process. So I made that flow chart that this is the whole uh, process of actually reading a passage, just reading the passage, not solving the questions. And then when I started practicing, I would not switch on the timer to put pressure on myself. I would just make sure that I'm reading the passage and understanding. And after reading the passage, I would go to the question, solve it. Then I would see that flow chart, and I would connect with what I did during solving it. So I would make a cross or a tick mark that whether I followed
So
this
you would
process
check
by
on your
solving it or not.
deviations in the process. Were
Yes,
you actually following the process or
yes,
not? You were
yeah.
like
And
your own police.
yeah, exactly, I was. It is not difficult to do that. I mean, if you just know how the importance, and since I'm telling it so many times, and please understand the importance, it's very important. It is. So you just
Hmm.
need to understand the importance, and then you would do it, because you would know the what value it's going to bring
I
in.
think what you're saying is like when you're solving, also you have to always constantly keep in
Very
mind that
conscious.
what
Yeah.
the steps and do
Yes.
it consciously. It
Yeah,
can
and it would
happen that sometimes you will deviate,
you will deviate, yeah.
but you
And then
have
you have to
to.
tell yourselves, immediately solve another question, and you tell yourself you deviated from the process in that previous question, you follow the process in this one, and you will be able
Mhm.
to do that. You have to be your own teacher, own critic, own teacher, own cheerleader, everything.
Right, right.
So
No, that's so
that's very important.
correct. Correct. And let's say, so this we've spoken a lot about CR and we've also spoken a lot about RC. Um, For quant, exactly, because, and you've also spoken about quant, just as a last minute like follow up, that how to plan somebody, let's say, who's at somewhere around a score of 79, 18 quant. What should that person do to like elevate the score? What did you, the way you did from 81 to 85?
You need to know your weaknesses. Like my weakness was ratio and percentages. I used to go wrong in those. Understand your weakness and solve more questions of that, and solve more easy and medium questions of those questions, those topics where you're not very good at, because solving easy and medium questions would help you understand the process and follow it more, and then you could implement in the hard ones. Because if you're wrong, if you're weak at something and you go and pick hard questions to solve it, you'll definitely go wrong. So that's no point of torturing yourself that way. So pick up the topics that you're not good at, solve easy and medium questions, go through the course again if required, and you really need to know your own weaknesses basically. And if you have
Right.
maintained an error log until getting a 79 or 80, then follow that error log and solve the questions that went wrong, so that you could go to the 86 or 85, whatever you need.
Basically, you need to know why you went wrong
Why?
in a certain question
Self
before you are
analysis
able
is
to.
the only way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Or get a
And
tutor might be to help you, but even the tutor could help you till a
up to a
range
level
to
only.
understand your weaknesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, a tutor can tell you once or twice or three times that you've got to do this, but that's the part that I wanted you to address, which you have already done. That how do you keep yourself on track? How do you keep yourself from deviating every now and then? Because that's natural. It will happen till it becomes a habit, right? For DI per se, right? I mean, again, for DI also you went from an 81 to 85.
Yeah.
So DI also, if you take things one by one, let's say DS, for example. So what is it that you did for DS? What is that one or two pieces of advice that you would give, that do these two things you must do?
Um, I have the same thing to say again, that read and
Read
understand the question very well, what they're asking, and then if you have solved enough question, you would understand what the question tries to ask.
what the question is
So
asking you.
yeah, understand what the question is asking, and do not rush again. So that's all it is. DS would not be that difficult. Actually, I'm not a very good person to answer on DI, because my DI was good from the beginning, because I had like a lot of graphs in my office. I used to do a lot of graphs at that time, and
So
I
you were
did not have
habituated to reading them anyways.
yeah. And quant DI will automatically improve if your verbal is improving, because your TPA and MSR will improve, because those are all reading. It's all about reading and understanding what the question is asking, picking up the conclusion, out of like how we conclude a passage. So those
Got
data
it.
points come up in MSR and TPA when you read it properly. So verbal se wo connected hai, and graphs and DS is connected with quant. So DI think will become better if you do quant and verbal properly. So let's say you spend 1 month on quant and one on verbal. Then the third month you do DI, quant and verbal together. Like quant and verbal will be your revision, and DI will be your practice. So attempt like practice DI in the end only. If that's how I think you could
Got
do it.
it. Got it. Got it. Great. So that was wonderful having you with us, Riya. I'll just one thing
I
that I'll
hope
need to share with the viewers is how to connect with us if they want to do that. Just give me a moment. Anything other than this, everything related to the practice and all these things you've said. Anything other than all of this that you'd like to, leave with the viewers, that okay, these are the things,
for me, for me, mentorship really helped me. I mean, Piyush was my mentor, and Sunita ma'am was my teacher for verbal. It really helped me, and I understand it's an expensive exam, and everything is very expensive in terms of it. But the more time that goes by, if you really have to do it, the more time that goes by, you are losing money, and you're losing your opportunity of upscaling yourself through an MBA, right? So I would say that invest it at the right place and try getting a mentor if you are a person of acute self sabotage like me, because I did not have any belief. I did not know how to go through the process. Just looking at the videos and understanding the concept was not helping me. I needed someone to tell me what has to be done, and I needed someone to believe in me and tell me I could do it. So I had that Piyush and Sunita ma'am in that way. I got lot of scoldings, but they really helped me with that. So mentorship helped me, honestly. I did spend money, but that was an investment. And scoring a good score also helps you to get more scholarship, right? So eventually, might be you end up saving a lot of dollars through that. So please
Right
invest it
on.
in the right place.
Where Vijay is telling you, thank you, Ria, for your insights. Really great journey in short time. All the best.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, all the
All,
best, Ria. I mean, it was
yeah.
amazing having you see you develop from what you started at and what you eventually. Honestly, that those kind of things never cease to amaze me even now. I mean, I of all people know how difficult GMAT can really be, how
Yeah.
much it can get to your self
Nerves.
confidence.
Yeah. Self
You know,
consciousness.
if you've
Everything.
not scored very well in one or two attempts, it can really get to your
Yeah.
confidence. And I would say that your journey definitely teaches that you how
And
the consistency and discipline helps.
yeah. And one more thing, do not think of doing it the right way in the first attempt itself. Even if it takes like 4 or 5 attempts, it will still be worth it, because if you have a good score, you'll have a lot of self confidence that you can do this MBA journey. That confidence will come from your GMAT. Your scholarship will come from your GMAT. So do not think that I have to get it right in the first place. Of course, try it. It's the best if you do it the first time, but keep doing it till the time you do it, get to it. Do
I think
not leave.
yes, like
Yeah.
consistency and discipline. Yes. So
Yeah.
all the very best, Ria. Thank you so much for being with us. And those of you who want to connect with us, you can connect with us over the credentials that are there on your screen. You can contact Piyush on that email ID or write to us at support@gmatwiz.com, or you can connect with us over the WhatsApp. So thank you so much, Ria. Thank you so much. And
No problem.
yeah,
Thank everyone.
so thank you for all the viewers who've been with us for the last half an hour or so. Wishing you all the best as well. And please, as Riha has already said, believe in yourself. Work at it. Okay,
Yeah. It will
don't
need a
let
lot of
things
hard work.
go.
A lot of
Yes,
hard work.
work at it. Don't give up. It's something that you're investing in yourself for the rest of your lives. So worth the while. Be patient, be consistent, and be disciplined. All right, Ria. Thank you and a good night.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.
Take care.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.